even though Ruined King has been out for a while, I never got the chance to properly cover the journals in that game. Which is really bad because the game is absolutely packed with really interesting journals. And they reveal anything from a newspaper that confirms that Riven was captured, to a secret letter that confirms that Swain is spying on Elise. But among all of these, technically the main villain of the game, Thresh, got by far the most interesting reveals. So today I finally want to talk about what Thresh was like before he became Thresh. So without further ado, let's have a look at the journals relating to Thresh in the Ruined King. The entire setup for Thresh's character starts with journals that talk about a unique boy. These are a couple of letters titled "Regarding the Boy from the Village." The first letter reads, "For the attention of senior documentarian Nuao. With all the greatest respect for your position and the wisdom that you occupy with it, I really must insist that we send a blessed interventioner of some experience to the southwestern fishing villages. Rumors that are coming out of that region of a boy who speaks with the dead, rather than for the dead. These stories cannot be ignored. I look forward to your measured and thoughtful response. Mid-level Remembrancer, Ovire." The second letter is the response. "To that most mid-leveled Remembrancer, Ovire. I find myself having to thank you once again for your volunteered opinions on the rumors of fisherpeople and farmhands, gathered from one of your frequent fact-finding missions in the working district's marketplaces and drinking establishments. It is quite astonishing that you are still able to remember the mission I and my esteemed colleagues pursue. It boggles the mind that you can still think of us while lubricating the tongues of your salt-of-the-earth informants, and gift us with tales of boys who talk to ghosts. Please do not feel obligated to perform further work on our behalf. I'm sure your position keeps you very busy. Signed, Senior Documentarian, Nuao." The final letter, once again, is a response. "Nuao, there is no need to be dismissive. I was only trying to help. You said that Warden Grail should be assigned as assistant, and foolishly I thought that maybe I could assist in scoring a candidate with unique skills that could provide a vital importance to your department. I realize now I was, of course, mistaken. You'd never accept help from me, and that your frankly creepy archivist should be kept away from anyone. Never mind a kind-hearted and impressionable country youth. I intend to send word to the village that the boy should be taken under the wing of one of the monastic orders, the Brethren perhaps, where I suspect he'll receive a much warmer welcome. How wonderful it will be for him to be around people who will respect his contributions." Of course, if you didn't pick up on it, the boy these people were talking about was indeed Yorick. And here we learned that Yorick was taken by the Brethren, but he was almost taken by the Wardens. And this leads us to the journals of one of these Wardens. Specifically, it is Grail, Warden of Thresholds. "Well, today's the day. In a better world, I would be off to a career among the Masters of Helya. But instead, I've been assigned the duties of a Vault Warden. Disgusting. I was the top of my class. I deserve better than this. I can still amuse myself with this inferior assignment, I suppose. It is now my responsibility to assess and catalog the sundry artifacts and tomes safeguarded in our vault. I have only glimpsed at the architecture, and already my mind boils with new possible improvements. I'll show these Wardens what a sharp mind can accomplish in this profession." Signed, Grail, Warden of Thresholds. Mere weeks into my tenure, and already I have witnessed a lethal encounter with a vault object. According to its documentation, the hard's key must be turned in its companion lock every 39 hours. Outside of that time, it may be used to open any locked object. The Wardens, however, have the disappointingly lazy practice of using it to navigate the maze of vault chambers while on duty. Warden Alms failed to return the key to its place in the vault and turn it at the proper time. True to its name, the key sought the nearest heart, Alms' own, and turned. What it unlocked, we may never know, for the experience caused Alms to perish. I have begun drafting expanded documentation on the key's use and maintenance. Alms died needlessly, but if we can learn from his failure, some good may come out of it. Signed Grail, Warden of Thresholds. Had another lethal encounter with a vault object. Why do those happen so often? Warden Petrin confused the biting book with the eating book. Their passing is tragic, but this really shows the value of precise documentation and proper categorization, doesn't it? I have requested that Warden Yolanda, who was there at the time, please take some time off from griefing to document what she saw. These objects defy reasoning and often exhibit the most dangerous traits only through observation. We can mitigate the need for test subjects by thoroughly documenting our observations, and keeping those records in a central, well-categorized location, and not losing those records. I must rest. These fatal failings are driving me to frustrated distraction. Signed, Grail, Warden of Thresholds. The vault's contents are a hierarchical mess. As wardens, we must be able to locate and describe any object in our care, and I cannot in good faith say this is currently the standard. I've begun drafting sample documentation for one of our vault's older artifacts. It is a nameless tome, large and dusty. Prior documentation suggests it is evil and whispers your own darkest thoughts. Anyone can see that sort of vague descriptor is without value, and far beneath the quality bar a vault warden must set for themselves. What is a darkest thought? And is the book whispering really? It has no lips. With a tome this dangerous, precision is crucial. I have taken it upon myself to study the book's effects properly. I am of sound mind and already find it quite simple to ignore the book's effects. I will use this to establish a baseline effect category, radius, and intensity, with which we may categorize all such objects. Signed Grail, Warden of Thresholds. And this takes us to his last entry. Damn him! Head Warden Rastofir rejected my proposal for studying the nameless tome. He even threatened to demote me for keeping it overlong in my quarters. As my proposal is without flaw and demotion is an unreasonable reaction, I suspect Rastofir's actions here have a double intent. He clearly plans to usurp my research and my proposal for his own prestige. I have arranged for a more persuasive argument, by way of another powerful artifact, which was woefully miscategorized. While Rastofir's death will be tragic, it will serve to nudge the Warden's thinking into a safer, more pragmatic direction. Signed Grail, Warden of Thresholds. From these journals, it is obvious that Grail is quite obsessed with keeping everything in order. That's why we also have 3 papers, which serve as the catalogs that are supposed to tell you how you should behave around the artifacts. Of course, it is obvious all of these were written by Grail. Catalogs 1. This sheet is written in tight, perfect script. It is not signed. This documentation equally serves presumptive consumers and aspiring librarians. I have devised a system for the storage of the myriad writings, tablets, artifacts, portraits, trinkets, and accoutrements stored within this library. This system currently has no name. I recognize one will be required in time. However, one is not required to adhere to this system. I have designed it such that any child would find it trivial to follow. It is my pleasure to direct you to the reverse of this sheet, where you will discover the key both to navigating and maintaining our sanctum of knowledge. In fewer words, wheresoever you find something, you shall return it. And then it notes that the back of the sheet is covered, edge to edge, with an intricate legend which sorts books and objects with no fewer than 27 adjectival categories, each again subcategorized. It is, indeed, perfect. Catalogs 2. This sheet is written in tight, perfect script, though ink bolts in places, as if the pen were jammed into the paper. It is not signed. I acknowledge that given the size of this library and the breadth of the writings, tablets, artifacts, portraits, trinkets, and accoutrements contained herein, it takes some measure of time to navigate the establishment and return items to their rightful place. However, any reasoning being must in turn acknowledge that, given the size of this library, and the breadth of the writings, tablets, artifacts, portraits, trinkets, and accoutrements contained herein, it is of critical, unparalleled importance to ensure that all items are logged, accounted for, and above all, discoverable. It is beneath reader and writer both to bring this matter to the personal, but I must point firmly to the many years spent designing this system. I repeat, Wheresoever you find something, you shall return it. And lastly, Catalogs 3. This sheet is written in tight, perfect script, though several words seem nearly carved into the paper. It is not signed. I am by no means accusing any singular presumptive consumer or diligent librarian of callous disregard for the purpose of this establishment, or the sanctity of our work and the organization of our work. No, to so fail such an ideal is not a mark against the individual, but all humanity. However, I am loath to point out, be it to my superiors, presumptive consumers, or diligent librarians, that this infringement marks the 37th besmirchment of our Sanctum's cataloging system. Had I the means, I would put any such negligent party to the pins. That pain might teach them those lessons which prudence, reason, social justice, common decency, and parental love appears to have eluded entirely. And so, I repeat but once more, wheresoever you find something, you shall return it. So yes, Grail wrote a perfect system for cataloging the artifacts, and everyone ignored it. And over time, as he was studying the Nameless book, his mind was slowly being affected by his own dark thoughts. Up until now, without context, you might have been wondering who Grail really was. But that gets answered in the research log of the Vasani. The Vasani logs are absolutely massive on their own, so in case you don't know, the Vasani are Aris people. In short, they were invited to the Blessed Isles to help study magic in general, especially when it comes to anything that affects souls. But also, it is the Vasani that invented the White Mist. Anyway, as these Vastaya were researching this soul magic so that they could store memories and preserve knowledge for all eternity, on day 234 of their research, we got this note. That creepy librarian was lurking around the vault again yesterday. Something about him is unsettling. I get the sense that he should not be leaving his post. He clung to his lantern as if there wasn't appropriate lighting in the chamber. I know I should not be suspicious of our hosts, but that man, Grail, there is something dark in his mind. I'm sure of it. Yes, this confirms that Grail is indeed Thresh. So that's how Thresh became a Warden. We don't really know what he did before he joined the Wardens. Grail traveled to Helya to try and help their masters, but instead he was given job as a Warden. He hated the job, but still found it interesting to research what all the dangerous artifacts did. And eventually his mind became corrupted because of the Nameless Dome. Now it should be obvious why I started with the letters talking about young Yorick. That's the reason why the guy didn't want Yorick to be sent to the Wardens. We can only imagine what would happen if Thresh wanted to catalog Yorick. But that's all I wanted to talk about today. Once again, the journals in the Ruined King are so massive, and they name drop so many different people, that it didn't dawn on me that Grail could be Thresh up until I read the Vasani research log. Honestly, up until the end, that mystery was hidden really well. But in hindsight, it should have been obvious to me. Warden of Thresholds? Really? Grail is Thresh?